Wade,
Creed.
and this is Slightly Mediocre.
So today we're going to be talking about Fast and Furious. We're going to be talking about the whole series, from first movie to the newest one, and how it's never going to end.
They said they're going to end it at 9.
Yeah, or maybe 10. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how it is.
I'm OCD, so I would like it to end on an even number.
Yeah.
But at the same time, having 3 trilogies would be kind of cool.
Yeah, but to me, honestly, we're just gonna talk about the films in general, our personal take on it. So just a disclaimer: this is just our personal views as fans of the series. As fans of cars in general. I know Wade's a big car guy. I'm a car fan myself, but not as big as a car fan as Wade is. But we both enjoy watching the series progress, and we'll just give our take on it. So start things off. We're gonna talk about the very first film. How I like that film a lot because it brings back a certain kind of nostalgia because it's so 90s, early 2000s ish. The hairstyles, the cars, the flames coming out of the cars, the brightly colored cars with the underlights, everything like that.
So when I first saw Fast and Furious, or The Fast and the Furious,
The Fast and Furious.
I was enamored. I was pretty young, and my uncle was actually really into cars. He saw the movie and he started building little Honda Civics and everything like that. He was doing some cool stuff, and then eventually he got into Infinities and everything like that, and was doing drift cars and stuff. It was really cool, and that kind of what sparked my interest in cars. And forgive me, I'm gonna get really technical in this review because when it comes to cars, I might not know a lot in the world.
You know enough, yeah.
I have a degree that says I know something, but sometimes I even question that. But when it comes to cars, I know what I'm talking about. I recently bought a new truck, and I swear I was probably the salesman's worst nightmare because I knew exactly what I wanted, and I knew more than the salesman, which is sad, but whatever.
Oof.
So the thing is the first movie. You see a lot of cool cars. You have your RX-7s.
Yeah.
You have Supra, which is personally my favorite. I had a 98 Supra Targa top just like Paul Walker did in the first movie. And it wasn't exactly like it. It was white. It didn't have that god-awful orange and graphics and chrome and everything. It was just white with black wheels and a 90mm turbo.
There's that Jetta.
Yeah. And there was the Jetta, there was an S2000, a lot of cars that were really hot for the tuning world back then. And it's amazing to see, through the movies, you can definitely see how not only car culture has changed, but how, cars have changed in general.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, I hate to say it, but I don't think the Supra would be nearly as desirable as it is by collectors and, modifiers and everything like that if it wasn't for the original Fast and Furious movie.
I agree.
And, the movie is amazing. I could honestly do without, the love interest and the dialogue and stuff like that. The storyline is solid. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Big fans of, Paul Walker and Vin Diesel.
Yeah, and that it was at a point in time where pretty much you can go to Southern California and on a Friday night those streets would be looking very similar to that. You have the racers, you have the tuners, you have some street racing going on. You can even see that up in Dallas now.
Oh yeah.
And it's just all over. People bring their cool rides in and just have an impromptu car show. It does bother me a little bit that it said danger to manifold and then a floor pan fell out because it's nothing to do with the manifold. I don't even know how bolts just pop out of a
Too much nos. Too much nos.
It boggles my mind. And, and the fact that it's pretty funny to see that, that's what the car culture was back then, was really just, neon paint jobs, some underglow, and a big ass NOS tank in the back, you know,
And flames spitting out.
yeah, and
Which
like
actually does not happen.
and the thing is like they have flamethrower kits and stuff like that. But I think the part that enamors me the most is the fact that, you know, they actually had to build cars for the movie, and you know, they were perfectly capable, like the movie was saying, although they didn't have 16 gears, you know, and unlimited gas, but you know, overall it was just amazing. And then, you know, of course we go to that classic scene of, you know, Paul Walker and then that 69 Charger just with that huge blower on the front.
Dude,
you can't even
massive.
see. You
That
know,
thing's
like,
massive.
I've had cars like that where, you know, my old 55 F100, okay, it had a huge blower on it and an old school Chevy 350 in it. I know, you know, I put a Chevy 350 in a Ford, but I fixed it because I put a Mustang motor in it before I sold it.
There you go.
But huge blower on it, NOS, the whole deal. I couldn't see. Like every time I wanted to turn right, there's just a motor in the way. I couldn't see anything. But it was amazing to see that, and it hurt a little bit to see that car, that even though it was a stunt car and meant for it, just to see it just hit that top corner and skid and then pop. But you know, it was really heartwarming to see, you know, Paul Walker in the end being like, with the key, and he's like, I owe you a 10-second car. Here it is, and let's Dom go.
Yeah. So, like, to continue on, like, the second film was pretty good. You know, Too Fast, Too Furious. What are your thoughts on Tokyo Drift?
So, going back to Too Fast, Too Furious, by far the best one of the franchise.
Okay.
But at the end of The Fast and the Furious, the first one, if you watch through all the credits, there's actually a cutscene at the very end.
Okay.
And it's how Paul Walker gets to Miami and how he gets that skyline.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not going to ruin it for you because I don't think you've seen it.
No, I've not.
Okay.
No, I didn't even know about that.
You need to watch it. I was watching through it one day. Like I was just doing a marathon because, you know, I had a day off of work or whatever. And, you know, I was watching through it, and I guess I was just like so into, you know, my phone or something. And I didn't even notice that the credits were gone. And then at the very end of the credits, like this scene pops up. I'm like, I've never seen this before. It's like a lost scene. And it's like a good 5-10 minutes. Okay. And it's amazing. It's really good. But back to Too Fast, Too Furious. So this movie I really like as well. This movie has got to be the best one. It bothers me a little bit that Brian O'Connor, a.k.a. Paul Walker, is the one, you know, he's kind of all, like, throughout the whole franchise, he's flip-flopping back and forth. Is he a cop? Is he an outlaw? Is he a cop? Is he an outlaw? Is he a cop? Is he an outlaw? You know, and it's really, it bothers me that it's every other movie that he's doing that. Like, if it was every 2 movies or 3 movies that he did it, it would make a little more sense. But every other movie, just flip-flop, 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 it's just like, oh, come on, bro. So... You know, the second one I loved because it still shows how car culture was. You know, the paint jobs were toned down a little bit. Yes, they were still in that god-awful green Lancer, actually Evo. And then they were in that god-awful purple Eclipse that was the Spider. But, you know, it like...
With the decals on the side?
Yeah, and, you know, but they had cooler cars in it. They had an NSX. They had, you know, like, honestly, Tej's shop, like Ludacris's shop that was in that movie, I would love to have. You know, open air, really clean, right there on the lake. It was amazing.
And that fro.
And that fro.
And that fro.
That fro, though, man.
Oh, man.
But it was honestly an amazing movie. And, you know, what were your thoughts on 2?
2 is a great film. I enjoyed it. It was a good storyline. Like you said, I was confused about the whole flip-flop with Brian O'Connor. I thought, like, you know, once you're a criminal, you can't really go back to being a cop. But I guess, you know,
they made exceptions.
Miami's Miami, you know, East Coast, West Coast. But, you know, it was a great film. Like, for me, like, you know, one of the best ones. But my favorite is, you know, comes up later. I'll talk about that later on. But moving on to the third film, what's your opinion on that one? Because that one really was kind of a different take because it didn't have Brian O'Connor and it didn't have Vin Diesel.
The third one, when I first saw it, was weird. It was honestly a lot to handle because, so, like, you look at the first and the second film, right? Yeah. You have the Supras, you have your Skylines, and, you know, going back to the second one a little bit, like, honestly, I don't think the Skyline, the R34 Skyline, which is actually illegal in the States,
Okay.
would be as popular as it is with the tuner community, just like the Supra, if it wasn't for those movies. Granted, the Skyline is an amazing piece of machinery in its own because, all-wheel drive. It has, the RB 20 RB28E whatever motor in it. It's turbocharged. It's an amazing motor. It's an amazing transmission. It's an amazing all-wheel drive car. It's very, very, very powerful. Very easy to drive. It's one of the best cars ever made. However, it's super popular with the JDM community, the Japanese domestic marketplace community, and it's interesting to see on how much these movies have affected what cars are popular in the States.
Was it illegal again?
It's illegal. It's for national traffic, highway safety administration reasons. Basically, it doesn't meet the crash safety ratings. And
is that because the seats or whatever switch?
Well, no, it's not because it's right-hand drive. Because you can import right-hand drive vehicles all day long. It has something to do with just like you have to wait until it's 25 years old to legally import it into the United States. And being that it's in 1999, that's in the movie. We're gonna have to wait till like 2025.
Oof.
Yeah, but I really want one. I do.
One of these days.
Yeah, one of these days. Currently, the R33, the previous model to the one that Paul Walker drives into, is currently legal to import.
There we go.
And I've seen those for sale for like $12,000. So,
anyway,
so the third one takes place in Japan.
And it's in the future. So you look at the timeline, it's not directly after 1 and 2. It takes place later on.
And the thing is you don't know that while you're watching the movie because, like, when it first came out, it had nothing to do with the storyline of what we've seen.
No.
Because, we've seen 1 and 2 at this point, and then all of a sudden there's this country bumpkin out in Japan with his dad and putting an SR20 into this type of motor that comes out of a Nissan Silvia S15, and they put it into a 65 Mustang. So, it's really interesting because like, honestly, I hated the movie for so long because I didn't understand how it fit into the Fast and Furious franchise until recently.
Vin Diesel's in the very end, though.
Vin Diesel is in the very end with his Chevelle, and then, they do the normal wheelie crap. But, but the main thing I love about Tokyo Drift is the cars. Like,
and a song.
Ding, 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 ding. I wonder where you go. How you live in Tokyo. Okay, that's enough of that.
When you go drifting, you got to play that song together.
when you go drifting in shopping carts in the grocery store.
The little drivable ones.
So, there's... but the cars are amazing. There's Evos, there's Zs, there's Silvias, which are my personal favorite. There's the Mustang. In the very beginning, when that kid, I forget his name, is it Sean? Sean, when he's in the States, because he's originally starts in the States, he's in a Viper, or no, he's not in a Viper. He races a Viper. He's like in some crappy beat up Coronet or Duster or something like that. Some old school car that he's done a bunch of stuff to. And, he ends up crashing, and that's why he gets sent to his dad in Japan. And, there's some... It kind of shows a little bit about the Japanese car culture, but not a lot. As someone who's been to Japan for cars specifically, when I used to work in a performance shop, we actually went over to Japan to, take care of some business. And, I was fully integrated into the Japanese car culture. And what I got to say is, Tokyo Drift barely scratches the surface. And it's, the car shows, the car meetups, is just amazing to see in person. But, originally I had a problem with the movie. Now I don't have as much of a problem with the movie, seeing how it fits into the storyline.
Yeah. So on to the fourth film. They're in Mexico. Dom and Brian are back, back in center stage. They brought in Gal Gadot as, I guess, what is she, like a cop or something?
Is that the fourth one?
Yeah, it's the fourth one. They're in Mexico. They're doing a drug running.
Oh, yeah, with the F-bomb Camaro.
Yeah.
That one I really liked because not like it was interesting. Like, it was I wasn't. It was a nice comeback from Tokyo Drift at the time. because we had been let down with Tokyo Drift because we didn't understand how it fell into the Fast and Furious
we didn't know the
storyline.
timeline.
So seeing everyone come back, originally I loved the movie because it was cool, it was a nice storyline, great scenery, great driving, great cars in general.
Always, yeah.
And
shows like the whole build up between Dom and Brian, bring them back together.
Yeah, and it was definitely good to see that, and that kind of. And then the whole jailbreak thing at the end was definitely nice to see as well. And then I guess that brings us into number 5.
Yeah, and that one is my favorite of all time, of all the films. So for 5, for me, the reason why it's my favorite, like aside from the fact that they're in Brazil, which is just beautiful. Brazil is a great place. They got a great car culture down there too. But for me, it was mainly because they brought everybody, all the people all the different characters. You got Roman, you got Tage, you got Han. Shout out to Han. They brought him back. They brought them all together, and they pulled off this big heist. One final heist for them, because they're still at the heart. They're still
At this point, they're still criminals.
Yeah, they're still criminals, but they're trying to buy their way to freedom. And then you got Dwayne Johnson being Superman coming in, all swolled up. And with his team of equally swole people, I don't think there's a single person on that team of his that was not swolled up and steroided. I'm like, that's
and covered in baby oil.
Yeah, covered that. A lot of baby oil, lots of baby oil. But that was a great film for me. Just it was perfect, and I think, honest to goodness, that is where they should have ended the series. 5. It's not a full 2 trilogies. It's just 3 and then 2 more films. But it's. That's where it should have ended. Not spoiled the ending, but the film came out 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it by now,
shame on you.
You're either not going to, or you
living in a rock.
Yeah,
you need to see that film because that's one of the best ones of all time.
I'll even let you borrow my set if you haven't seen
it. Look how cool this set is. It's like a freaking tire.
So this is 1 through 7.
Yes.
And those are really the important ones, honestly. The newest one, 8, is kind of crap.
Yeah, I haven't even seen 8. I'm a big fan of the series, and I haven't even seen 8 because I don't even really want to see it because, like I said, they should have ended at 5. The perfect ending was at 5. They pulled off the big heist. They got all their money. They're all equally rich now, and they've all bought their freedom. Paul has his family. Dom. He's granted they don't have Letty anymore, but they find her later on in the next film. But for me, that should have been the best. That would have been the perfect ending. And then because they're still criminals and they're still racing. The next 6, 7, 8, they're still racing, but it's more we're just fast driving super agents or something like that. They're now working for the government. They're working with Hobbs, which is it's cool and all, but it just kind of detracts from the essence of the film. You look at the very beginning, they're street racers. They're not some kind of they're street racers, mechanics, they're criminals. They're not trying to be some
they're
Navy
outlaws.
SEALs. Yeah, they're not trying to be Navy SEAls saving the world.
Yeah.
Which is now what they are now, basically. Nothing against doing that, but it's just weird.
And then we look at 6.
6 is just oof.
6, honestly, I don't even remember. Because
they go to Europe, they defeat some bad guy.
I thought that was 7.
No, 7 they go back stateside, and that's so 6 is they fight this guy named Shaw. It's a guy that plays he's in the Lord of the Rings. I forget his name, the actor. Anyway, it's
this is what we're talking about. Eventually, there's just too many.
Yeah, so basically they're in Europe and they're brought there by Hobbs and they're trying to defeat this guy because he's his group of criminals are they drive fast vehicles, so they need let's counter fast guys with other fast guys. And they do that. They beat the bad guy. They lose a few people, and I think Gal Gadot's character dies.
Letty comes back in that one.
Yeah, Letty, apparently she was alive the whole time. She just had amnesia. She didn't remember anyone.
That was a stupid storyline.
Yeah.
It really was.
Just weird. And then, this number 7, we both watched 7 mainly because it was the homage to Paul Walker.
So 7 was weird for me because, in number 1, they go to an event called Race Wars.
Yeah.
Okay? In number 7, they go back to the event called Race Wars. And honestly, I wish they would have done more of that in the movie because that's what Fast and Furious started out as. It didn't start out as this criminal, good baddie, let me become some super elite task force to take down
Terrorists,
some anti-terrorist group, and because that's not what they are, as Creed was saying, and it's kind of ridiculous that they wouldn't kind of go back to their roots for a little bit, and going back to their roots for a little bit, I don't consider going back to their race wars for one race.
Yeah,
that was so stupid to me, and there's nice cars and everything, and honestly, the R35 GTR that Paul Walker's in that movie, and he's able to, just kind of like have the air ride on it and go underneath that 18-wheeler. Like, that was cool. There's some great scenes in it, but overall, like, at that point, I was just tired of it. And the only reason I watched it to begin with was because, and saw it in theaters at all, was because, part of the proceeds from that movie went to Paul Walker's family after he was killed.
Yeah.
And
rest in peace.
Yeah,
he's a great actor. Yeah,
and true car guy too, which was really nice. Because you don't get a lot of that. And the main thing that I watched it for was the homage at the end.
Yeah, which was very well done in my opinion.
Yeah, it really was. It brought a tear to my eye. Honestly, I'm not going to even front about that, because in the song and the theater, the him fading off into the doing his thing in his Supra, like, that's just it was angelic to see. And he had that kind of like glow around his face and everything, and it was really nice that his brother was actually able to come in and kind of like be a filler for some of his scenes that hadn't been filmed yet.
Yeah. So moving on to like 8, and I guess now the future of it. I haven't seen 8. Wade's seen it, and from what I was told, it wasn't very well done.
8, I feel like at this point they're just trying too hard.
Beating a dead horse.
Yeah, they're really just beating a dead horse for some money. And like, they have some big names in it. They have Jason Statham, they have Charlize Theron, they have
Dwayne Johnson, Vin Diesel,
and all those guys still. And then they added this new guy. See, I'm even getting tired of just talking about it, man. No, they added this new guy in there who I think is supposed to replace Paul Walker. That's because he's the FBI agent in this movie. He's kind of like the by the books person. And then they put him in a Subaru BRZ, which is honestly, like, had number 1 been filmed now, I feel like that's what Paul Walker would have been in. It was a BRZ. So, that kind of, it didn't really sit well with me.
Yeah, kind of off-putting.
Yeah. And then, the fact that, like, and then the storyline was just them, it was like a Michael Bay movie. How much crap can you blow up? And then, they're coming out with 9 here in 2020.
And then there's going to be another one, which is actually a spin-off with Hobbs and Shaw. So it's basically like Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham going at it again, but just them two. You won't have Vin Diesel and his crew.
Which I'm honestly fine with.
Yeah, because
Vin Diesel, like, he's a prima donna. He really is.
Yeah, there's actually some beef between him and Dwayne Johnson. Like, actually, I think in the newest film, they weren't even able to film scenes together. They had to film them separately because they just would not get along on set.
Now, contrary to that, you have the Ludacris and Tyrese Gibson banter back and forth. With 9 times out of 10, that's unscripted, and it's excellent, and the reactions are great. And honestly, like, if I had an opportunity to hang out with those two, I would, because they're
just hilarious.
They just seem like fun dudes to chill with.
Yeah. So all in all, they were good films, but like for me, like I said, should have stopped at 5. That was like the perfect ending. Yeah. The earlier films were the better ones, in my opinion. Right now, they're just beating a dead horse. But we'll see how the newest film goes. 9, it's supposed to come out 2019?
2020.
2020.
So not next year. Or I guess... Yeah, I guess next year.
Just a few months or so. I don't know.
Who knows?
It's in the future. Yeah, whenever it comes out, and whenever that.
I think it's like April of 2020.
Yeah, and when that new film for Hobbs and Shaw comes out, Dwayne Johnson, Jason Statham, when that comes out, I'll be after 9. So we'll see how it goes, but hopefully just wrap it up soon, because
sorry, I have to stir my wampa.
The wampa. Hopefully just wrap it up soon, because it just kind of getting prolonged and drawn out. It's just not as fun as they were, because in my opinion, they just lost focus of what the series was essentially about, which is racing cars and racing. Now they're just being like super agents, which is just wrong.
Well, like originally it was about the car culture and the
Yeah.
car scene and how, everything like that. And, now it's just about, like it used to be how many speakers and NOS tanks could you fit in your car. Now it's just about how many like AR-15s can you fit in your car.
Which is just weird. Yeah. So one thing I wanted to ask you, Wade, import or domestic?
I don't know, man. Like I have a domestic truck, but my domestic truck is twin turbocharged.
Okay.
So there is some import technology there. No, I honestly like if we go off of the cars that I've had, and I've had a lot of them. I think last time I counted was like 26 cars in my lifetime.
And a few Priuses.
And a couple Priuses. we don't talk about them.
One of them was pretty cool.
Yeah, one of them was really rad. I did a bunch of stuff to it. No, but like when it comes to domestic, as long as it's before 1972, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Except for my truck. I love my truck.
Oh, it's a great truck.
Yeah, it's brand new. I love it. Well, we'll see. We'll see here. After I get some miles on it.
Yeah.
And then pretty much anything modern, like from 1992 to like 2005, I'll deal with import sports cars. So like your GTRs, your R34 GTRs. I mean, I'll even deal with an R35 GTR. Like I used to work on them.
Nice.
The only thing is they're really fat and they're really piggy. Like they're 4,000 pounds. It's super heavy. But the ones I used to work on were getting like 1,800 horsepower.
Yeah. The new ones are pretty cool. You see
Yeah.
the new ones?
Yeah, the new ones are pretty rad. But like I love BMWs. I had an M3, which was awesome.
Nice.
I had an old M3. I've had a bunch of Porsches. I've had two Porsches. I had an old 911. I had a new 911. I had a Lamborghini. I had a Ferrari. So I've had my fair share of cars. But I would definitely say that as for daily driver and performance, probably import.
Okay.
I know that was a long drawn out answer, but that I had to explain my reasoning. Now, like I said, currently my daily driver is a domestic truck.
It's a dang good domestic truck.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's our opinion on the movies or the franchise. Let us know what y'all think. Let us know what it should have ended. What y'all's take. What's y'all's favorite film? If you need to borrow it, we got it right here. So yeah.
Another thing I would love to see in the comments is, what's your favorite cars? Why you like them?
Yeah.
What do you drive now? What do you plan on doing with it? Like, I'm a huge car guy, so like I can totally tell you like this will be a different video, but I can totally tell you guys what I'm doing with mine, and you guys,
If you
I'll
want,
show you.
yeah.
You show me yours, I'll show you mine.
Oof. I don't know. It's family friendly. But hey, let us know what y'all think, and like if you all want us to put more car content, because we're all right now just centered on movies and actors. But if you want us to put car content on the YouTube channel, let us know.
Yeah, we can do some burnouts.
That'd be pretty cool. Oh yeah, but hey, once again, it's slightly mediocre. I'm Creed.
This is the Wampa Cup, and I'm Wade.
And signing out for now. See y'all later.